Good morning. Welcome to this meeting of the Assembly Committee on Government Affairs for the 2025 legislative session. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Assembly members Carter, DeLong,
Present.
De Silva,
Here.
Edgeworth,
Present.
Flanagan, Gallant,
Here.
Goulding, Gurr,
Here.
Hunt,
Here.
Jackson, Karras,
Here.
Kasama, Wynn,
Here.
Chair Considine.
Present. Please mark Assembly Member Kasama absent excused, and please record Assembly Members Flanagan and Carter as present when they arrive. Welcome to the audience in Carson City, those joining by video conference in Las Vegas, and those listening over the internet. Okay, we'll get started. First, we have Brittany Walker, City Attorney, and Warren Hardy, Government Affairs Representative with Boulder City. Please go ahead whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our Mayor, Joe Hardy, is in Las Vegas, and with the pleasure of the Chair and committee members, would like to present and introduce us.
Please go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My family and I have been in Boulder City for the last 42 years. My last 2 of 8 children were born in Boulder City. I'm a native of Reno, Nevada, went to medical school there, and was grateful that we could end up in Nevada and end up in Boulder City. Many of the laws that we pass in the legislature and that you will hear, I'm sure, in this session deal with cities under 25,000. And Boulder City is one such city. I am grateful to have the opportunity to address the committee at this time. We're a small town. We have small words that describe Boulder City: the dam, Lake Mead, the railroad, small town charm. We have an opportunity to be kind of a place of refuge for many people who just want to come and stay for the day and enjoy a little distance from Las Vegas or Henderson, but just barely over the hill. And we see the solar fields that play such a vital part for our community. We have the Ram Cam where you can find out if the sheep are in the park and come and visit. So there's a lot of different opportunities we have in Boulder City. We participate in ways that are somewhat unique. We had what they call the El Dorado Valley Transfer Area in 1995, which cost us about $1.2 million. And what we did with that, we saved a conservation area, which allows a place for wildlife to be protected, as well as we recognize the El Dorado Valley is a rich resource for us. And you'll hear a presentation that talks about how that relates to Boulder City. But I am very grateful for the opportunity to introduce my unfortunately not related Warren Hardy as our lobbyist, as well as our city attorney, Brittany Lee Walker. But we are grateful to be here in front of your committee. Madam Chair, any questions you have, I will gladly defer them to the people who are sitting there in front of you, but I'm grateful to have the opportunity to be in front of you as well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Mayor, and it's nice to see you, even if it's just virtually, back in the building.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have our presentation here. I believe it's on the screen. So good morning, Chairwoman Considine and members of the Assembly Government Affairs Committee. I am City Attorney Brittany Walker for Boulder City, and to my right is Warren Hardy, our Government Affairs Representative and former State Representative for Boulder City. So today I'd like to share with you a little bit more about our community, educate you on why we're unique and an integral piece of Nevada. Boulder City is historically significant to the development of our state. The Boulder Canyon Project Act authorized the construction of Hoover Dam, signed by President Calvin Coolidge in 1928, just as the Great Depression was beginning. Construction was set to start in 1931, and 5,000 families came to work on the project. Boulder City was built to house the workers. The Bureau of Reclamation held all title to the land, and the federal government essentially owned Boulder City. Construction was completed in 1936, almost 2 years ahead of schedule, and in 1958, the federal government transferred ownership of Boulder City's government, and Boulder City was an incorporated city in January 1960. At the time, it was 33 square miles, a sixth of the size that it is today. Boulder City is unique compared to the rest of Nevada. We have various charter amendments and initiative passed ordinances that are different than most cities. For example, we're only one of 2 cities in the Nevada that prohibits gaming. We don't have any gaming revenue. Voters adopted a ballot initiative in 1979 for growth control, so we are limited to 120 residents per year. We cannot grow more than that, and 30 per development. While Boulder City acquired 167 square miles of former federal land, voters have restricted how the city can use that land, and more than an acre must be approved by the voters to be sold. So while we have the largest square mileage in Nevada, most is dedicated towards conservation and is undeveloped. We also have a debt limitation of $1 million, so any debt larger than $1 million must go to the voters for approval. So here is a depiction of our city council. We have our Mayor Joe Hardy, who you just heard from, and then our city council members, Mayor Pro Tem Sherry Jorgensen, Councilwoman Koki Booth, Councilwoman Denise Ashurst, and Councilman Steve Walton. We're led by our appointed officials, our acting city manager, Michael Mays. Our city clerk is Tammy McKay. I'm the city attorney, and then Victor Miller is our interim municipal judge. Boulder City is a regional partner. We pride ourselves in assisting Nevada as a whole, and especially Southern Nevada. We played a key role in the economic development, as the mayor had mentioned, with the purchase of the El Dorado Valley Transfer Area. And we set aside 136 square miles to create the Boulder City Conservation Easement. And that helped conserve land dedicated to the valley so that Southern Nevada was able to get an incidental take permit and continue to grow. Additionally, we donated the land for I-11, and that provides for rapid movement of people, goods, and services, and contributes to the strengthening of the Southern Nevada economy. Whether it was Boulder City's agreement to a 99-year lease to the state of Nevada for no compensation to help with the building of the Southern Nevada Railroad Museum, or partnering with the National Park Service to provide fire and life safety support for the Lake Mead National Recreation Area, Boulder City is a strong partner with the other local government agencies to provide regional benefits to residents and tourists. Here is an overview of our strategic plan goals. Each city has a strategic plan to ensure that we are making progress and moving forward to meeting our goals and our mission for the city. We just revamped our strategic plan, and our goals are to maintain a high-quality recreation and tourism offerings for residents and visitors, continue achieving prudent financial stewardship, maintaining our community character, promoting historic preservation, maintaining dependable, reliable infrastructure, improving our public health and accessibility, and in continuing to maintain high levels of public safety. Boulder City also values transparency. We have a public records portal where most of our public records are available to the public online. Anyone can go and find nearly any document that they would like to see already available on our portal. Additionally, we implemented a tool called Socrata, which is like an open checkbook. You can essentially go on our website and see any check the city has written to any vendor or contractor or employee. We have all of that readily available, including an overview of our budgets and spending. It shows there what our general fund and enterprise fund budgets are, as well as what our spending and payroll are each year. So an overview of our revenue sources. Intergovernmental accounts is more than a third of our revenue. Most of that comes from C-Tax. We also have rents and royalties from land leases, mostly leased to solar developers in the El Dorado Valley. That counts for almost a third of our revenue. Our fiscal year 25 revenue is estimated at $48.39 million. And our expenditures, we have 18% for culture and recreation. We have 17 city parks and 2 golf courses that are municipal owned. Public Works accounts for 20%. Like most cities, public safety is a large portion of our budget as well, with our police and fire department. And then we have general government, the judicial branch, and community support. We have 224 full-time employees. Because most of our buildings were built in the 1930s and some 40s and 50s, we do have a lot of accessibility issues that we're working to address, but we are continuing and committed to making those ADA improvements to improve accessibility. Our staff often does multiple jobs. For example, our director of business license is also our utility billing supervisor. So we have a thin staff, but they're dedicated and work very hard for our community. We have 8 collective bargaining units, and as I mentioned, 17 parks, a swimming pool, and our 2 city-owned golf courses. We're happy to report that we have the lowest crime rate in the state. Our police department has been able to sustain critical staffing levels where other police departments are seeing challenges with recruiting and retention. We have been lucky to not have those same issues. And we continue to maintain our low crime rate. Our fire department responds to an average of 2,600 calls annually. 87% of those are EMS, and we're proud to report that we are the 4th nationally accredited fire department in the state of Nevada, which we received in March 23. We also are dedicated to the community to improve life safety. We partnered with our local businesses to implement an AED program so that we could put defibrillators in local businesses, and we trained them on how to use it so that we can save lives in the event of an emergency. We have 2 elementary schools, a junior high school and a high school. Here is just a depiction of our enrollment numbers. We do have, while a lot of our students are from Boulder City, we have a lot of students who commute into Boulder City to attend our schools. And we are an older population, so 15,000 residents, but unlike Clark County's 2.3 million residents, our median age is 51.1 compared to 37.8 in Clark County. 29% are over age 65, and just under 50% are in the workforce. 10% also have veteran status. So why is this important? Well, most of our residents live on fixed incomes. So agencies like Emergency Aid of Boulder City, Lend a Hand, and the Senior Center all ask the city for support from eligible ARPA funds due to an increase in need the past 3 years. Increase for assistance with utility bills and rent has increased substantially, and our fire department also saw more calls for service in recent years for health conditions. Another thing that makes Boulder City unique is we're one of the only cities in Nevada, Fallon is another, that provide electric service to our residents. We operate our own electrical distribution system and are not-for-profit, and our entire distribution system is subject to our Boulder City Council rather than the Public Utilities Commission of Nevada. The city does not own or operate any generation resources and obtains all its energy needs from existing power purchase agreements. And we are a leader in clean energy, getting most of our power from renewable sources. Hydropower is a large part of it, but we also purchase 5 megawatts from one of our solar developments in our city. So we do at this time receive most of our power from renewable resources. We've also diversified our revenue sources with utility scale solar. As I mentioned, our lease revenue makes up about 1/3 of our budget, and it's helped us survive difficult times like the Great Recession and most recently the COVID-19 pandemic. The first utility solar scale project to benefit the city that I mentioned earlier was the Townsite Solar Project, and that delivers 5 megawatts of firm power. We're also exploring additional power purchase agreements in the future due to the dwindling capacity of Hoover Dam with the ongoing drought, and so we hope to implement those to continue to save money for our ratepayers. Tourism draws a lot of residents from Las Vegas and all over the United States and internationally to Boulder City. The Hoover Dam being one of our nation's marvels. We also have the Southern Nevada Railroad Museum, which we're proud to house and proud to be home to. The Lake Mead National Recreation Area sees more than 5 million visitors annually. And just recently, Boulder City, jointly with the city of Henderson, was designated by the National Park Service as a World War II American Heritage City. Also home of the Ram Cam. If you've ever heard of Hemingway Park in Boulder City, it's a very special place in Nevada where our bighorn sheep actually come down from the mountains and graze on the park's grass, and they're there nearly every day, and you can go and see these majestic creatures right here in our home, and with a beautiful view of the lake there as well. But many people ask and call us and they say, what time are the Rams coming? And we say we don't have their schedule, so we don't know. So that's why we installed our Ram Cam, so you can go to our website and you can see if they're there before you make the drive into town to go see them. So we've had over 164,000 views. We're also going to be building a Boulder City Adventure Center. Our Chamber of Commerce was awarded a U.S. Commerce Department grant, and the proposed layout will be built in our State Welcome Center, which is where the City of Chamber of Commerce is housed, and they will allow tourism companies to develop operations at a centralized location so visitors can just schedule various activities in one location. So you'll have all of these kiosks and little storefronts where you can book your kayaking trip, or we're hoping to reopen our zip line soon, if you're familiar with our Boulder Canyon zip line, or Bootleg Canyon zip line. So those are various tourism opportunities that we will hope to continue, and the Adventure Center will allow a centralized place for our visitors to come and experience all that Boulder City and Southern Nevada has to offer. Major projects completed. We completed the Railroad Museum Road, and the state is currently building that visitor center. So we're very excited and continue to support that state project. We also installed our Home of the Boulder City Eagles sign. So when you come into town, you will see that sign greeting you as you come in, and we are proud to say 135 state championships right now. So very proud of our Boulder City Eagles. And just to update you on language and ADA access, we do provide all lecture materials in English, Spanish, and Tagalog. We offer public safety employees bilingual incentives, and we also are working on increasing our ADA accessibility. Although our City Hall building was built in 1931, we have revamped our ADA access entrances, installed a hearing loop in the council chamber, so those with hearing impairments can listen to meetings directly into their hearing aids, so that's very helpful. And we also offer closed captioning on all our public meetings, all our public meeting recordings. So with that, committee members and chair, I'm available for any questions. I know our Mr. Hardy, Warren Hardy, wanted to add something.
Thank you, Chair, members of the committee. It's good to be here with you. So those of you who know me well will be pleased to know that I've lost my voice, and I don't know if I'll get it back. But I'm at the very end of this, so don't worry, I'm not contagious. Chair Considine, members of the committee, it's a pleasure and honor for me to represent and work with the city of Boulder City. It's sort of full circle for me. I've been able to represent the city as a state assembly member, a state senator, and the pleasure of working with Joe Hardy, who is the only Hardy I can find that I'm not related to. But I can't really add to anything Brittany said except this. You can see that Boulder City is a very, very unique city, not only in terms of the locale, the location, but also in terms of governance. We're very, very different in a lot of different ways. And so you will hear from us often regarding those differences and how what the legislature does impacts us. I'm going to just suggest we're different in one additional way as well. We are a small city in a large county, in the largest county. And the members who have been here for a long time know, and the new members will start to learn, that we do a lot of things, sometimes on population basis, and things that impact the large counties. I'm just going to ask now that you be mindful, and we will certainly be there to remind you that we are a small city in a large county. And sometimes what works in cities and large counties does not work, in large cities and large counties does not work in small cities and large counties. So that is something we'll be talking to you about regularly and often. It's a unique city. I'm sure all of you have been to Boulder City. If you haven't, come and take the time. It's a wonderful community. I still go every 4th of July to the parade, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful place. I ride my motorcycle there probably twice a month for breakfast at the Coffee Cup. If you haven't had breakfast at the Coffee Cup, you need to try that. So again, Chair, I apologize for taking the additional time, but I wanted to add that additional perspective that we are a small city with very different needs than much of the other large cities in Clark County. So thank you.
Thank you very much, and it's nice to have you back as well. Glad you're feeling better. We do have some questions. We're going to start the committee member questions with Committee Member De Silva.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Walker, and I'm sorry, Miss Walker, Mr. Hardy, and Mayor Hardy. Just had a quick question here about the demographics in Boulder City. I know that Boulder City, along with a place like Scottsdale, are more mature cities in regards to population. And I was wondering if this maturity in this population, the dwindling amount of the workforce, has had any sort of economic effects, or is Boulder City being able to keep up with these sort of demographic changes? Thank you.
Yeah, so as an older community, we've not seen impacts to our economic sphere as far as the city revenues and city budgets. Of course, our residents, being that they live on fixed incomes, when there's downturns in the economy, we do see an increased outreach for need and support, and so we try to support our local nonprofit groups to help with that. Most of our council members deliver Meals on Wheels to our residents and volunteer in our community, so we've seen that. But as far as our city revenues, we have been insulated from that. I don't. I think a lot of the people. Well, I mean, we're a retirement community, so people move to Boulder City to retire, and then we. Those in the workforce commute to Las Vegas. We're only 20-30 minutes away from the valley, so a lot of people still just commute there. Yeah.
Chair Warren Hardy, for the record, Assemblymember De Silva asked a very important question, because we're impacted in some ways because of the aging population. There's a lot of advantages that come with that, right? The experience and institutional knowledge and the things that those individuals can contribute to the community, but we do sometimes struggle with regard to employment and finding individuals to fill slots. We will be bringing a piece of legislation, hopefully in the very near term, to you to help address that problem. So that's another area where we're sort of impacted because of our demographics. So we're hoping that you will help us solve that this session. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And our next question is from Assemblymember DeLong, and please feel free to go straight to the Assemblymember in response.
Thank you, Chair. With regard to the power generation, is Boulder City subject to the REA, Rural Electrification Act?
Thank you, Assemblymember DeLong. I would have to look into that and get back to you. Oh, Brittany Walker. I'm a little rusty. Thank you for your patience.
That question. Our next question is from Assemblymember Jackson.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair. I know you mentioned in the budget there was funding for community support. What type of community support do you have for the homeless population there?
Thank you for the question, Assemblymember Jackson. Brittany Walker for the record. We have, like most of the local governments in Nevada and everywhere across the nation, have seen an increase in the homeless population. And we, 2 years ago, implemented a homeless outreach team. So our fire department joined up with our community resource liaison at the Boulder City Hospital, and they go out weekly to make contacts with these individuals and try to get them to services. We've made over 80 referrals to services for these individuals, and we continue to try to get them access to services. You know, it takes several contacts a lot of times before these people are willing to receive services. So we were trying to do that, and we partner with Clark County, which has the bulk of the homelessness services for Southern Nevada, and so they offer us a lot of resources as well.
Our next question is from Committee Member Flanagan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning. I've been familiar with your 30 max bill for a really long time. I hadn't realized you only allowed 120 new residents. So I am curious to find out how you manage that. And there was nothing really in here, and I know you referenced fixed incomes, but really nothing that spoke to median household incomes or average incomes or household value. If you could talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Assemblymember Flanagan, Brittany Walker, for the record, thank you for the question. We do limit it to 120 per year and 30 per development. How we regulate that is the ordinance, which was passed by the voters, was an initiative petition, provided for an allotment committee. So we have a committee that meets and evaluates applications, and they issue what are called allotments before any building permits can be issued. And we've actually not even come close to the 120 number. We've never had a developer. We've had developers that wanted to build more than 30, and a lot of times what we would do is the allotment year starts in July, so the person would apply in June and then apply again in July and would get 60 for the year, and then they'd build out 60 homes, and then the next year would apply for additional. But we have been fortunate in that we have not seen any issues with that whole process, and we've been able to follow that ordinance very, very easily. As far as the median household income, I don't have that information, and I can get that to the committee members for you and provide that information.
Our next question is from Assemblymember Gallant.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. How are you? So I think, thank you for the presentation. You did a really good job, but you also let out a really nice secret about how wonderful it is to live there. So I think a couple things, maybe if you guys know about it, just in terms of our aging population. I'm a new resident there. I don't know if you knew that, Ms. Walker. Okay. You know, it is affecting our elementary schools, our schools, so maybe you could opine on that a little bit. And then also thanks to Mayor Hardy, he educated me on this a few months ago about the El Dorado Valley Conservation. And it allowed Las Vegas to be able to grow because, you know, Boulder City put aside that land. With the governor trying to get, I don't remember, what is it at, 25 million acres or 50 million acres? I can't remember what that federal bill was. Will the current El Dorado Valley acreage be able to support that growth, or are we going to be looking at possibly needing to increase our conservation area?
Thank you, Assemblymember Gallant. Brittany Walker, for the record. To answer your last question first, the El Dorado Valley transfer area and the acreage, I don't know what the future of that is. I mean, our incidental take permit, I do know for the valley is going to be expiring soon. I'm not sure what the process is for continuing that, and if there will be a requirement to set aside additional conservation area in order to keep an incidental take permit under the Endangered Species Act. So that remains to be seen. I will say with the easement, you know, we granted the easement to Clark County, and that will continue for in perpetuity for a significant amount of time, but we don't have any plans. So that Boulder City conservation easement will stay unimpacted. So, and did I miss any part of your question?
About our schools.
Our schools, yes, I knew I was missing something. I don't have the exact information, and I can definitely reach out to the school district and get more, but we have seen our schools struggling with enrollment numbers and keeping teachers. Our population doesn't have the amount of children to support our schools and keeping our same and keeping our same teachers and things like that. So we've seen teachers leaving. We've seen our impacts to the schools, and so I will reach out to Clark County School District and get more information on that for the committee members. I do know they're trying to increase enrollment from outside of Boulder City so that we can continue to keep our schools open and providing the great education that our schools have been able to provide.
Thank you. Any other questions from committee members? Okay, I do have one. Since you've mentioned the RAM cam a couple of times, I have read that with the lack of rain and lack of water, how the herd is doing. If you have any updates or plans on that, I'd like to hear that.
Yes, so we do work with the Nevada Department of Wildlife very closely to make sure that we are keeping that area for the bighorn sheep and doing everything we can. I don't have an update on the latest status of how the herd is doing, but we can definitely reach out to the Department of Wildlife and find out how they're all doing. Anecdotally, I take my son there every weekend, and we do see them, and so they seem to be doing okay. There's always a good amount of them there. But we can definitely reach out and get more information to the committee on how the herd is doing and whether they've seen impacts due to the drought and other factors.
Thank you. I appreciate that answer. They've just been there so long. My daughter's much older than your children, but I brought her there when they were kids. So, I kind of like that specialness of that area. Ms. Walker and former Senator Hardy, thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you, Chairwoman and committee members.